Day 8. Sentence completion 1.
Listen to the following lecture about lightning and write no more than 3 words to complete the following sentences. First, you have some time to read the sentences. Now here is the lecture about lightning. In earliest times, men considered lightning to be one of the great mysteries of nature. Some ancient people believed that lightning and thunder were the weapons of God. In reality, lightning is a flow of electricity formed high above the earth. A single flash of lightning 1.6 kilometers long has enough electricity to light 1 million light bulbs. The American scientist and statesman Benjamin Franklin was the first to show the connection between electricity and lightning in 1752. In the same year, he also built the first lightning rod. This device protects buildings from damage by lightning. Modern science has discovered that one stroke of lightning contains more than 15 million volts. A spark between a cloud and the earth may be as long as 13 kilometers and travels at a speed of 30 million meters per second. Scientists estimate that there are about 2,000 million flashes of lightning per year. Lightning hits the Empire State Building in New York City 30 to 48 times a year. In the United States alone, it kills an average of 1 person every day. The safest place to be in case of an electrical storm is in a closed car. Outside, one should go to low ground and not under trees. Also, one should stay out of water and away from metal fences. Inside a house, people should avoid opening doorways and windows and not touch wires or metal things. With lightning, it is better to be safe than sorry.
Sentence completion 2.
Listen to the following lecture carefully and complete the sentences with no more than 3 words. First, you have some time to read the questions. Now, listen to the lecture.
These days, we know a lot about contaminated air, contaminated water, and so on. We know that smoke, chemical substances, and dust particles pollute our environment. We're not so familiar with the concept of pollution from noise, and especially with its psychological effects. Generally, the physical effects are not surprising. Partial or complete deafness can result from excessive noises. Airports, some factories, even some discos. But did you know that it's possible to kill a person with the right or wrong noise? Psychologists now believe that noise has a considerable effect on people's attitudes and behavior. Experiments have proved that in noisy situations, even temporary ones, people behave more irritably and less cooperatively. In more permanent noisy situations, many people cannot work hard, and they suffer from severe anxiety and instability, as well as other psychological problems. However, psychologists distinguish between sound and noise. Sound is measured physically in decibels. Noise cannot be measured in the same way because it refers to the psychological effect of sound, and its level of intensity depends on the situation. Thus, for passengers at an airport who expect to hear aeroplanes taking off and landing, there may be a lot of sound, but not much noise. That is, they're not bothered by the noise. By contrast, if you're at a concert and two people behind you are whispering, you feel they're talking noisily, even if there is not much sound. You notice the noise because it affects you psychologically. Both sound and noise can have negative effects. But what is important is if the person has control over the sound. People walking down the street with stereo earphones listening to music that they enjoy are receiving a lot of decibels of sound, but they're probably happy hearing sounds which they control. On the other hand, people in the street without stereo earphones must tolerate a lot of noise which they have no control over. It is noise pollution that we need to control in order to help people live more happily.
Sentence completion 3.
Listen to the interview between a police inspector and a witness to a robbery, and then fill in the missing information. First, you have some time to look at the questions. Now, listen to the interview. Now, Mr. Wilson, we'd like to ask you a few questions about the robbery you witnessed the Tuesday before last, the 15th of September.
Oh, but I had an interview with one of your officers the day after.
Yes, sir, I'm aware of that, but there are still one or two little details we'd like to get absolutely clear, so if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all. I'm glad to help. What would you like to know?
Well, sir, first of all, we'd like to know the registration number of the Ford Fiesta. The number you gave us on the 16th was YEA 610J. Are you absolutely sure that was the correct registration?
Gosh, I can't remember the exact registration now. I mean, it was 10 days ago. Yes, I do remember thinking, that's easy. It almost looks like year. And I'm sure the last letter was J for Jimmy. That's my name, you know. But the numbers, well, I've no idea now, really.
You see, Mr. Wilson, we had another witness who told us the numbers were 601, not 610.
Oh, dear. All I can say is I gave you the numbers that I thought I saw at the time.
OK, Mr. Wilson. Can you go over the events as you remember them?
I was on my way home from the chemist's. It was about 25 to 6. I just bought some cough mixture for my little boy and...
How can you be sure about the time?
Well, I'd just been to the chemist's, as I say, and I remember saying to the girl, "Well, I suppose you must be glad the day's over." And she said, "Oh, no, not today. We do normally shut at 5:30, but it's our late night tonight, unfortunately. We don't shut till 7:45, so another 2¼ hours to go."
So it was 5:35?
Yes, and just as I was going to cross the road, I saw two men run out of the pub opposite, jump into the red Ford Fiesta and drive off at top speed. There was a driver already in the car waiting for them, of course, so there were 3 of them altogether.
Yes, and we found out that one of the barmen in the pub was the one who organised it all. He handed the money over to the 2 blokes who went into the pub.
Ah, so you've arrested them all now?
All but one, sir. That's why evidence could be crucial.
Sentence completion 4.
Listen to the following talk about man and apes, and then complete the sentences with no more than 3 words. First, you have some time to look at the questions. Now, listen to the talk and answer questions 1 to 6. Man has always been interested in apes because they're at the same time so like him and so unlike him. In their basic anatomy or body structure, they are very similar, and for this reason they are both classified as primates, the highest form of animal. They also resemble each other in having hands and feet instead of claws like cats or hooves like horses. Likewise, neither has a tail. Both man and apes have large brains compared to their body size, and this helps again to distinguish them from other species of animals. But compared to the chimpanzee, for example, man's brain is 4 times as large. Like man, apes can use tools. For example, an ape may pick up a stick and put it in an ant's nest to make the ants come out. Similarly, apes have been known to make tools, for example, by breaking off branches to use as sticks. Man, however, is quite different. In fact, unique among animals because he can make a plan and then make a tool by following that plan. All human beings everywhere have a language, and there are thousands of different languages in the world. All these languages are equally complex, and they are very different from the cries of apes and other animals. Finally, we can use fire-making to differentiate men from apes. Man has possessed the secret of making fire for thousands of years. In contrast, neither apes nor any other animals possess this secret.
Sentence completion mixed.
Listen to an interview. Mr. Brooks, Mark, Jean and Robert are being interviewed on the subject of friendship. First, you have some time to look at the questions. Now, listen to the interview and answer questions 1 to 10.
I consider friendship to be one of the most important things in life, whatever your status, married or single. I see too many lonely people around. A lot of us get so involved with material values, family problems, keeping up with the Joneses, etc., that we forget the real meaning of friendship.
Which is what, according to you?
They say a friend in need is a friend indeed, which is partly true. But a real friend should also be able to share your happy moments without feeling jealous. A good friendship is one where you can accept and forgive him, understand mood, and don't feel hurt if a friend doesn't feel like seeing you. Of course, honesty is an essential part of any relationship. We should learn to accept our friends for what they are.
As a married man, do you find your friendship is only with other men?
Of course not. Both my wife and I have men and women friends, thank goodness. Although family life is fulfilling, it isn't enough. Both my wife and I get tremendous satisfaction from our friends, married or single, male and female, and we both have our separate friends too. We'd get bored with each other if we had the same friends.
You must have a full life.
We certainly do. And as I say, our friendship gives us a lot of pleasure. After all, friends should not be people with whom you kill time. Real friendship, in my opinion, is a spiritually developing experience. I've never had a lot of friends. I've never regarded them as particularly important. Perhaps that's because I come from a big family, 2 brothers and 3 sisters, and lots of cousins. And that's what's really important in my family. If you really need help, you get it from your family, don't you? Well, at least that's what I've always found.
What about you, Jean?
To me, friendship, having friends, people I know I can really count on. To me, that's the most important thing in life. It's more important even than love. If you love someone, you can always fall out of love again, and that can lead to a lot of hurt feelings, bitterness and so on. But a good friend is a friend for life.
And what exactly do you mean by a friend?
Well, I've already said, someone you know you can count on. I suppose what I really mean is, let's see, how am I going to put this? It's someone who will help you if you need help, who will listen to you when you talk about your problems, someone you can trust.
What do you mean by a friend, Robert?
Who likes the same things that you do? Who you can argue with and not lose your temper, even if you don't always agree about things. I mean, someone who you don't have to talk to all the time, but can be silent with, perhaps. That's important, too. You can just sit together and not say very much sometimes. Just relax. I don't like people who talk all the time.
Are you very good at keeping in touch with your friends if you don't see them regularly?
No, not always. I've lived in lots of places, and, to be honest, once I move away, I often do drift out of touch with my friends. And I'm not a very good letter writer either. Never have been. But I know that if I saw those friends again, if I ever moved back to the same place, or for some other reasons we got back into close contact again, I'm sure the friendship would be just as strong as it was before.
Several of my friends have moved away, got married, things like that. One of my friends has had a baby recently, and I'll admit, I don't see or hear from her as much as I used to. She lives in another neighbourhood, and when I phone her, she always seems busy. But that's an exception. I write a lot of letters to my friends, and get a lot of letters from them. I have a friend I went to school with, and 10 years ago she emigrated to Canada. But she still writes to me every month, and I write to her just as often.